Hey guys, my name is Bryan Powers. I'm one of the owners of Family Home Solutions here in Springfield, Missouri, and I wanted to go over our home ownership program with you guys today. The big question, home ownership, is it still the American dream? I absolutely think so, and I'm going to go over exactly why I stand by that today, because it has completely changed my personal life. Having equity in a home and being able to build kind of a nest egg in something I'm already paying for anyways has served me very well in life. So it's my passion. It's my desire to be able to do the same thing for other people through taking somebody from a renter into a lease to own tenant. And basically, these are the three companies that we use. We are Family Home Solutions, and we partnered with Tranont to kind of bridge the gap to getting you a mortgage on your home and becoming a true home owner in the sense of the word. So I'm going to start off today by going over how it works. Family Home Solutions is dedicated to bridging the gap to home ownership through our one-of-a-kind lease to purchase program. And I can safely say that what we do in this is, as far as I know, one of a kind. There's nobody out there that's doing what we do in the way that we do it here in Springfield. And we hope to branch out to maybe some other markets down the road. So if this video lasts that long, then just know that this should apply to any market. So what we're doing right now, you can pick the house of your dreams through our existing portfolio. Almost everything that we have, we've gone through. It's going to be in a like new condition, and you pick the home out of our existing portfolio that you want to own someday. Okay. And then we're going to get you approved into our lease purchase program. It's very simple. It's not even so much about credit as it is of your ability to make the payments. We don't want to get you into a position that you can't afford. And, we want you to become a homeowner right off the bat. So we're just going to qualify you, make sure that you can handle the program. Number 3, we're going to get you signed up with Tranont, and we're going to go over exactly what Tranont is. But basically what it is, it's a service that's going to bridge the gap to help you guys get financed with a bank. Okay. And so step 4 is exactly that. We're going to work on lining you up with a bank or a broker that can carry you into actual home ownership. So why would you do this? What are the true benefits of home ownership? Well, here we go. First off, pride of ownership. Lower payments, you get tax deductions. By the way, we're going to go over all of this individually. Principal reduction and what that means to you. Principal reduction and appreciation in a home equals equity building. Okay. It's also going to give you control of your property. No one can ever make you move out. And it's going to secure your future. So let's start with pride of ownership. What is it? This is your house. Be proud. Show it off. Give it your unique touch. You're also going to get the value out of your upgrade. So anything you do to the house, you basically get to keep in your back pocket because it's your home, it's your equity. So like I said, no worries, it's yours. If you want to be on the opposite side of that too, and I tell you what, I have a piece of missing sheetrock in my shower currently, and I have the ability to say I don't want to fix that yet. It's going to be a plumbing fix, and I'm just going to wait to fix it. So until the first of the year. So the good thing is you get to do that. If you're renting a home, there's certain responsibilities that you have as a renter that you have to return it in that same condition, or you're going to lose your deposit. So no worries, it's yours. Make repairs, don't make repairs. It's your choice. This is my favorite. Never pay rent again, because we're going to take a deep dive into why you would not want to pay me. And trust me, I love renters that pay me rent as a landlord, but I'm even more passionate about people that start paying themselves that rent. And we'll go over that. Have the best looking yard in the neighborhood, right? I mean, that's important. I really think when you own your home, all of my neighbors, it's kind of a unspoken deal. We like to have a nice looking lawn, nice groomed trees and bushes and flowers. My wife likes to plant flowers and plant a garden, and those are all really cool things about owning your own home. You can do it, and it makes it worth doing because it is your home. So let's talk about lowering your monthly payments. Right off the bat, let's take a look at this. An $80,000 home in the Springfield, Missouri market is going to rent for roughly $800 per month. We call it the 1% rule, very common in this market. As that number goes up, the 1% rule turns into 1.25, 1.5. As it goes down, it might even go to 0.9, 0.8, 0.7. But right in that median margin of where is a good purchase price for a first-time homeowner in our market is going to be $80,000, $800 a month in rent. Let's convert that to a $550 a month mortgage, okay? So that same $80,000 house, the exact same one that you're paying $800 a month in rent, if you have a mortgage, goes down to $550 a month, and that includes everything. The PITI stands for principal, interest, taxes, and insurance on that $80,000 home. That's all of that included. Okay, so what does it mean to you? That is a $250 per month, basically payment that you're putting back in your pocket because you're not having to spend it in rent. We'll call that $3,000 a year. Tax deductions. Our IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, allows homeowners to write off all of the interest paid on a mortgage against income. Okay, so your home, all that money that you're paying to the bank is a write-off, which basically means that it saves you on your tax return at the end of the year. And depending on how much money you make, it can vary on how much you actually get paid back, but most likely in the thousands. This is my favorite, principal reduction. Every time I make a payment, some of it goes to principal and some of it goes to interest. Of course, when you start a loan, a little more goes to interest than principal. And as that loan matures, a little bit more goes to principal than the interest. Your interest lowers and your principal gets higher. But even right off the bat, we're just gonna look at your first 5 years when you're still spending more money on interest than you are in principal. And we're going to take a look at what that does to you. So what I've done, the table to your right, is based on that same $80,000 house at a 5% interest rate, which is pretty common today, December 15th of 2017. Probably a little high. Most people are still in the 4% interest range. And this is on a 30-year amortization, which basically means they're going to break out the entire cost of the home over the course of 30 years. Making monthly payments, you're paying off right off the bat almost $100 a month of principal. When you get into year 5, you're upwards of $120 a month. So all of those payments, the way I like to look at it is every time I make a house payment, there's this extra money that's going into this little secret bank account I have called home equity. And as you can see, that very column, it says payment, and then the next column is principal. If you add up all of that principal, the 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth column says cumulative principal. And that is at the end of year 5, as you can see down at the bottom, we almost go to the bottom of year 5, you're at over $6,200 of principal reduction. That's like creating a little savings account with $6,200 in it. Now, on top of principal reduction, you get appreciation. So the average appreciation in the United States has been roughly 3 to 5% over the last 30 years. So, I mean, even take when the crash of 2007, the home values 10 years later are significantly higher across the board than they were prior to the crash of 2007. So, I mean, we're talking about you average your home. Most people are going to stay in a home 10 or 20 years before they sell it. But what we like to look at is, what if you only stayed in it for 5 years? If you're going to rent a house, chances are you're going to stay in it 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So let's just look at, if you were a renter and now you own a home, what that's going to look like. So we'll just look at kind of bottom of the target, a 3% appreciation, an $80,000 home would be worth $194,000 at the end of that 30-year term. I mean, that's huge. I mean, you over doubled the value of the house, and at that point in time, it's paid off. So at the end of 30 years, it's worth $194,000. But I'm going to actually show you why it's worth so much more than that. If you just look, let's say you bought a house in 2010. Look at that first column at 3%. By 2017, the home would be worth $101,000. Okay, so that's over $20,000 of appreciation over that 7-year period. If you just look over a 5-year period, you're still looking at $13,000 worth of appreciation. So equity building, let's add all of this up. Basically, if you want to look, I include in equity building the payment savings as well, because we want to compare what it's like to be a renter versus being a homeowner. So let's add it all up. So how much more money are you actually putting in your pocket? So here's an example of your first 5 years savings in the equity build on an $80,000 home. Right off the bat, if you add up that payment savings of $250 per month, you do that for 60 months or 5 years, that is $15,000. That's right, $15,000 saved over the course of 5 years. If you go into what you estimated range of what it should save you on your taxes, I think I ran this if you were making $50,000 a year, your tax reduction from the interest paid would be roughly $6,120. Your principal reduction on this equals $6,537. That's every time you make a payment on your house, you are also reducing that principal. And then let's look at the appreciation. At 3% per year for 5 years, you're looking at an additional $12,742 in savings. If you add all of that up, it's over $40,000 of savings in 5 years. $40,000. I don't know about you guys, but I can do a lot with $40,000 at the end of 5 years. As a matter of fact, I started my businesses by owning a home for a period of time. I was fortunate enough to buy a home when I was fairly young. I was 23 years old when I bought my first home. And so by the time I was 25, I was in a market that was super hot at the time. And I grew a lot of equity in the home. So roughly $20,000 over the course of those 2 years. And I was able to buy my first business, which was a live music venue, a bar. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, $40,000 over the course of 5 years. A lot of people take that home equity, they'll put it back into the very home that they're growing that nest egg with and build a room addition or whatever you want to do. So we'll get into a little bit of that. One of the other benefits of owning your own home is that you have control of the property. If you're a renter, it's the opposite. The home puts the majority of the property's control in the hands of the owner. I mean, if you're paying rent and it's within the lease term, an owner can't kick you out. But if you're only in a year lease, when that year lease is up, it is that owner's home and they're allowed to do. I mean, if they want to sell it, they're welcome to sell it. If they don't want to renew the lease, you're out looking for another home to move into. And if you're anything like me, I don't like to move. I don't like packing. I don't like moving. I don't like unpacking. The other benefits, you decide how many pets, friends, family members, whoever that you want to live with you. You can decide what paint color you want, what flooring you want, what appliances you want. You decide all of that stuff. A lot of times landlords will let you change the color of paint, but in our company, you have to get it approved because we don't want to go back in having to paint ugly walls. So you determine how long you want to live in the house. No one's going to kick you out. And if you want to sell your house, you determine what you want to sell it for, when you want to sell it, etc. It's yours. Number 4, if you want to add a pool, you add a pool. If you want to add a room addition, mother-in-law quarters, it's yours. I would say I would be, even as a landlord and somebody trying to improve the value of my property, I don't know if I would let them do a room addition unless I was able to approve how that room addition was done. But why would you want to do that if you're renting a home? Give somebody else that equity in the home, right? You would only want to do that if it's your home. Securing your future. Okay, so I will say that I've done some research on this. Over 90% of Americans, they're not prepared for retirement when it hits. Home ownership is the number one way to build equity, to invest into your future. It is the way it is. I would say beyond home ownership, there's a number of different things that I do. So I'm not saying home ownership is the best. I'm just saying it's the most common. It's the number one most common way to build equity, to invest in your future. But I will say that owning a home was the starting point for all of that. So, I have, and I've done this before. I've used my equity to, buy a business. That's really where it started, which then kind of catapults into investing in the market. If you owned a home and you had, additional $20,000 worth of equity after a few years, then you want to go buy Bitcoin. That's pretty hot right now. You can go buy Bitcoin, right? So you can invest in other income properties. That's what we do too. Take your first house and say, hey, I want to upgrade houses. but I want to turn this one into a rental. Well, you can do that and then pretty much do what we do, become a landlord. That's a great way to build wealth, is to let somebody else make the payments on your home for you. When you're on the homeowner side, you get to capture all that principal reduction and equity and, the extra little bit of money in those payments and stuff too. So, there's a number of different things that you can do, but as you can see here in this chart, most people that are, let's say you're a first-time homeowner, you're 30 years old. If you're on that blue line, chances are, if you're the norm, you have less than $30,000 saved for retirement in any way, shape, or form, whether it's equity in a house, a 401k, an IRA, stocks, liquid assets, stuff like that. And the sad thing is really when people are getting up into this, 56 to 61 age, I would say that's still working age. To retire with, less than $200,000 would be kind of rough. I would say even with Social Security, it's rough, but I think, if you're 30 years old right now, the chances of Social Security being around are going to be kind of slim. That's just my opinion. And you've got to have other things that you're doing in your life to make sure that you're preparing for that. And I think starting in your 20s really is probably a good age to start doing that. Hey, if you're older than that, don't be discouraged. It's amazing what you can do becoming a homeowner. I have a client right now that became a homeowner at 56 years old, and he's a handyman. So he bought a handyman special and has been fixing that thing up. And I think he bought a house for $15,000 that would probably appraise for 40 2 years later. That's quite a bit of equity build at 56 years old. And there's just a lot of stuff that he can do with that house between now and then. So let's talk about how we bridge the gap. How do we get from being a lease option tenant to becoming a homeowner where you own it with a bank note? And what we've put in the middle of that is called Tranont. So Tranont is simply this. It's just a service that brings you all of the resources that you need to manage and improve your financial status. It's all set at a very deep discount because it's all packaged together. So, if you went through all 8 of these items and you tried to find something, some of these would be over $100 a month individually, okay? I will tell you that financial dashboard is the best part of this whole thing because it takes all those other services and it puts it into one easy place where you can see what you're really doing with your finances. It's almost like a pie chart. Where's my money going? You put your bank accounts, your credit cards, everything into that, and it allows you to see where you're at. There's actually within that credit repair and program is Credit Karma subscription. So you'll always know where your credit is on that dashboard as well. And where your finances are, where the bulk of your spending is. It's got little tricks to getting in there and figuring out how to better budget what you're doing. And then you have a credit repair service. That credit repair service there's attorneys on the back end and all kinds of people that are sending letters out on your behalf to be able to challenge things that are negatively affecting your credit. Gives you the ability to raise your credit score pretty quickly. I'm just one, but I will tell you that I went through some tough stuff in 2007, and I used a very similar company. They did exactly what this company does, but I paid like $1,200 for a 6-month deal to have them do this. But it raised my credit score. It was embarrassing. It was a 512. I'd gone through a divorce. I lost a business, didn't have to file bankruptcy or anything like that, but just did not look good on my credit. And it got above a 640, which at the time was high enough for me to buy another house, which was really important to me. So here's the other thing too. If you're going to repair your credit, you need to protect your credit. You don't want somebody stealing your identity, whether it's on the internet, whether it's somebody just stealing your credit cards. And this monitors all of your credit lines to make sure that there are, they've got a really neat way of being able to see that there's suspicious activity going on and to block those things from happening and to alert you immediately so that you can approve if it's somebody that's not you, you're going to know instantly trying to use your credit. Legal services. This is just one of those things that everybody needs, but I mean, how many times have you said, man, if I could talk to an attorney about that, I would love to just be able to make a phone call. But most attorneys work on a retainer, at least a $500 retainer, and then they charge on average a few $100s an hour. So most people are just not going to spend that kind of money to get a question answered. But I will tell you, to be able to reach out to an attorney at any given time to ask questions. There's even some stuff in there where they can prepare some pretty common legal documents and some other things in there as well. So with that is also a tax service program. So you get what's called TaxBot. TaxBot is just part of that service, but it's kind of like Mile IQ on steroids. It also allows you to take pictures of your receipts so that you can write them off on your taxes, track your mileage for, driving for work or business. And the cool thing is, because this service offers business opportunities within it, you can actually write off all of your mileage and a number of other things that the tax service people will tell you what you can write off. So because Tranont is actually a business, it allows you to be able to sell this service to other people and win some things, even make some cash. We'll get into that. The expense tracking software is TaxBot. In the tax services too. I mean, you've got access to real CPAs on the other end. You can send emails out or go to a chat. If you need to pick up the phone, there's a way you can do that as well. And it covers all the expense of what it costs you to do your taxes. So if you're going to H&R Block and spending money on that every year, or if you buy a tax software, do them online, whatever, they have that whole service built in. It's all included in your monthly fee. Monthly fee, by the way, is $125. That's it. $125 for all of this. And I will tell you, for me, it's saving me roughly $900 a month. And I'll explain how that works too. The expense tracking software is great, and the insurance services too. If you don't have life insurance, and you've got a family and kids or other people to support, if your income goes away, there is no better insurance for the cost than what Tranont provides. And then, so part of those business opportunities is it allows people that if you wanted to get licensed and be able to sell those insurance services, you can do that. If you are a member of Tranont, then you can go back in and you can sell the whole Tranont package to your friends, family, people in church, people you work with. This is a great, once you realize what the value of this program is, you will want to recommend it to other people. It's hardly selling. And then there's there's like a whole menu of other things you can sell, from cable services and voice over IP phone services, all the way down to like credit card services for businesses. And you don't even have to sell them. You just have to make a recommendation and you can make a lot of money. I heard a story. He's an associate of one of the guys that I'm under in Tranont. And one of his associates is making $7,000 a month just off of selling or recommend. It's not even selling, it's recommending those credit card services. So he has turned Tranont into a full-time income. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do within this, but the most important thing is that to us is that you're taking advantage of the credit repair, the legal services, the tax services, that financial dashboard, all of these services that are going to help change your credit and your financial background, so that when you take you to the bank and your house that you're intending to buy, that the banker says, "Oh my gosh, you look fantastic. Let's get you filling out paperwork, get this house appraised." So this is who we recommend. Y. Ferris Mortgage. I know Brad. He's a local guy. So if you're in Springfield, Missouri, Brad's been doing loans since 1984, I believe. He used to own a huge brokerage, and he's just dialed it down because he wants to help customers on a one-on-one basis. He's got a menu of different lending institutions that he can line you up with. So every person is different. If you've got a great credit history over the last year, but your credit score is still kind of low, he will send you to a different type of mortgage specialist or lending operation. If you've got a high credit, but you've got some dings in your financial history or some outstanding medical bills or something like that, there's a different lender he sends you to. So his goal is just to get you financed at the best rate possible as quickly as possible so that you can become a homeowner. And he gives a very dialed in one-on-one approach too. I mean, you will sit across the table from Brad, and he's going to make lots of suggestions to you, and he's going to work with lots of different companies to find out who's going to be the best for you. So as always, we are Family Home Solutions, and we are here to bridge the gap to allow you the American dream of home ownership. And we're an open book. So talk to any of our associates. Hope at the front desk is using Tranont, and she can hook you up with that. Crystal and Zach and our whole team here, Tim, they're all ready to get you hooked up into a lease to own program with our company and help you bridge that gap to home ownership. So we look forward to seeing you on the flip side. Thank you.